Good morning. So, what is with the political division in America? Is there any way to fix it? In today's video, I'll give you some clues as to why it may be the way it is. So, this is a phrenology skull. Now, phrenology is long been established as a pseudoscience, and of course I agree with that. But what you see here is an interesting representation of history as well as pseudoscience, right? Okay, so within history, certain ideas get adopted and then that becomes subconsciously embodied into the population over time. There are some truths within this phrenology skull, although this isn't an exact roadmap of the human brain, and left and right brain dominance has been found to be a falsehood. That is to say, most individuals with functioning brains use both sides of their brains simultaneously. They bounce back and forth, and all parts of the brain are utilized. That being said, the left side of the brain controls the right side of the body, the right side of the brain controls the left side of the body, and there are some general thought patterns that occur in different sides of the brain. Now, like I said, this isn't an accurate roadmap, but the left side is going to be all logical, detail-oriented stuff, and the right side is more big picture, emotional, and creative things. Now, with those ideas, and like I said, even though it's not an accurate roadmap, at some point in the past, people believed it to be accurate, and society sort of formatted into that pattern. And the real way, I think, to fix the political division in America is for citizens to take up the responsibility of understanding psychology and looking at things through the perspective of Jungian psychology, Carl Jung. The idea there being that if you hate something about somebody else, it's actually something that you hate about yourself. Or the idea that you could have some of that in you is so disgusting to you that you hate it about them. You see what I'm saying? So I think the way to fix that is for left-leaning individuals to think about right-leaning individuals, that is to say, politically speaking, and make a list of the positive attributes and make a list of the negative attributes. And right-leaning people do the same thing. If you hate liberals so much, write it down, what you hate about them, and then pick the thing about them that you hate the least, and then ask yourself, why is it that I'm okay with them being a certain way, and what does that say about me? Why is it that I'm not okay with somebody else being a certain way, and what is that about me? And you'll start to find that both sides have positive and negative attributes. Left-leaning people tend to prefer policies that incorporate social responsibility and compassion, whereas right-leaning people tend to incorporate policies that favor individual freedoms and family values. Neither of those things are bad. Those are examples of things that maybe both sides could agree on if you really sat and thought about it. And while you may never really fully accept the other side, you have to remember the news media has really divided us further. And this actually started, I think a lot of it started in the 80s due to the Cold War, because the KGB, they're intelligent. And they said, how can we dick over America? We'll get them to fighting amongst themselves, right? So anything that's black people and white people, gay people, straight people, anything rich and poor, anything you can think of, young and old, whatever, they're gonna find out how to drive a wedge between them. You know, the KGB literally did stuff like that. They would schedule a KKK rally on one side of the street and a Black Panther party on the other side of the street, or things to that effect, and then just let the pandemonium ensue. So the divisions have been artificially falsified and inflated in this country. Then you go on and time goes on, and the media has sold the enemy concept to you. And that's the funny thing about what the KGB did. It's like they wanted to do it to destroy us because we're a capitalist nation, but actually it made capitalism stronger. Capitalism just figured out a way to sell to each one of the individual factions. I mean, think about it. You've got corporations selling all kinds of merch during Pride Month, right? If conservatives don't like something, there's more than enough ammunition companies to sell you something to hurt somebody that you don't like. They're more than willing to give you the weapons. So the funny thing is, it didn't hurt the capitalist economy. It actually turbocharged it and divided it into multiple factions. And this is where we see these factions forming large cartels which control the government, right? I mean, it's obvious that the pharmaceutical industry is left-leaning, and their policies were all left-leaning over the last 4 years. And then it's also obvious to me that the conservative-leaning corporations, the corporations that manipulate people based on their conservative values, are going to tell you, well, we need more border patrol, we need more guns, we need more ammo, we're going to have to spend more on XYZ corporation, you know, Lockheed Martin, whatever, I don't know, whoever's blowing shit up. So these factions have been strengthened, and they've sort of found a way to sort of put everybody in the whole country into one or two camps. And the thing you're going to have to do is really think about what it is about the other side, as it were, that you like, and what it is about the other side that you just can't stand, and then really take a look at what that says about you, like why you hate that other person or why you can't stand what they're doing. Now, it's also going to take some responsibility from older Republicans to help the younger generation understand the necessity to preserve conserve, hence the name conservative, what the founding fathers said, which was to prevent the combination of church and state, which is what happened in Germany in the 1930s. The Nazi Party affected the Catholic Church, and it made a union there, a psychological union. It was very dangerous. So I hope this lends some insight into the psychology. I'm not an expert on human psychology, but I know enough to know that we're being manipulated, and society's been shuffled into these two camps. And you have to remember that it's never as bad as the media is saying. I mean, rarely is it as bad as the media is saying. How many times has it been said through a conservative network? The liberals and the liberal Democrats are trying to destroy America. Now, that's simply not true. There are probably people that are trying to destroy America within that group, but the vast majority of those people do not want to destroy America. If they do, they're not thinking clearly, because you don't destroy a house you're living in. Duh. And the left-wing media is always hammering out how terrible things are going to be with the direction the country's going with the right-wing movements. Well, not every right-wing idea is terrible. I mean, economic policy, there's military things that we just have to do. That's the world we live in, you know. That being said, okay, there are some problems there, and that's where I defer to the older Republicans to say, hey, it wasn't always like this. You guys have gotten off course within their own party. So, anyway, I know there's a lot of problems, and I know that it's not going to solve itself, but if each citizen tries to find good things about the quote-unquote other side, this may help lessen the division. If you can't do that, then you're being controlled. Like, if you hate a group of people so much because someone on TV is telling you that they're bad, you need to take a step back and realize what's going on. And it is really weird to see. Like, I'll watch liberal shows and they all have the same message. The jokes are the same. When they tell a joke, it's always the same joke on different late night shows. You know, it's the same topics. I'm like, well, they must have the same writers. The writers must have the same owners, you know? And Fox News has all kinds of subliminal messaging, the way they do their TV messages, and the way things flash at the screen, and the way scenes and images change, and the rhetoric. It's all very scripted, and it's repetitive to where people just believe exactly the reason things are bad. And that's another thing. A lot of people will make the president into a scapegoat. Like, a political party becomes a scapegoat. It's like you stub your toe and it's Obama's fault or something. Because, you know, what about the manifestation aspect? I mean, if manifestation aspect of consciousness has any truth at all, and you have 100 million Americans believing things are getting bad because of them, well, then what's going to happen? Things are going to get bad, right? If you have 100 million Americans that believe this president's great, the economy's going to get better, guess what's going to happen? It's going to get better, even if the president's policies are not really that great. So, in conclusion, just remember that we the people actually do have the power, and it's best if you can find ways to find things about other people that you actually like, or if nothing else, respect them, and hopefully this will help diffuse the situation. Thanks, have a great day.